The US military has early today threatened to reimpose its blockade on Iranian ports over Tehran's attacks on ships trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. That amid an ongoing series of strikes on nations hosting American forces as an interim deal to end the war has unraveled. Donald Trump threatening to bomb bridges and power plants unless Iran resumes talks.
Next week it gets really bad for them because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
Donald Trump there. Well, Kethevane Gorjestani is with me here on set. So, Kethevane, this is a fourth day, isn't it, of reciprocal strikes. Any sign at all this could end?
Well, look, for now at least, it doesn't seem like it because every day the Americans start a new wave of attacks and the Iranians every time respond with their missiles and their drones. And this is in a way showing that despite the U.S. bombing campaign that we saw a few months back and claims by the U.S. administrations many times that they had basically destroyed completely Iran's capabilities, whether they're ballistic or drone capabilities, that Iran still has those capabilities, at least enough to create chaos in the region, to strike not only the Gulf countries, but also as far as Jordan, and to strike U.S. military facilities and military interests. And they are still capable of creating chaos in the Strait of Hormuz by targeting those ships. So what the Americans thought they had done hasn't actually completely played out. What you're seeing is, yes, not yet on the same scale to the full-blown war that we saw just a few months ago, but it's getting increasingly worse as the days go by. The escalation is clear. We're back to square one when it comes to the strikes. We're back to square one when it comes to the strait. You have the Iranians saying we're going to completely block any energy export from the area. The Americans are saying we're controlling the strait because we have our naval blockade back. And you even had, for a brief moment, Donald Trump, who was using a page from the Iranian playbook saying, I'm going to put 20% on fees as a protection fee to get ships past. He backed out of that. Now he's saying that somehow the Gulf nations are going to help by investing in the United States. We don't know how true that is, what the details would be. But the threats are continuing, and that is also something that we've seen in the past. Donald Trump issuing those threats that we heard in that soundbite of going way beyond targeting the capabilities on Iran's coastline and probably going ahead. Will he actually do it, or will we see again something that we've seen in the past, which is a step back from these threats and this rhetoric?
So what is the U.S. strategy? I mean, perhaps the question should even be, is there a U.S. strategy?
Well, right now, that is an actual question, because when you see what they are doing, the question is, are the Americans basically trying the same strategy that they've tried before and hoping for a different outcome? Because, as I was saying, the naval blockade, we've seen that before. The bombing campaign, we've seen that before. The threats of broader bombing, we've seen that before. This was all done at the start of the war with the expectation, the goal being put pressure, military pressure on the Iranians, and at some point they will be weak enough that they will have to come to the negotiating table, and they'll come to the negotiating table with a much weaker hand, and that will force them to make the concessions that we want in order to make a deal. That did not happen the first time. The question is, will it happen? Will it be different this time around? The problem is that it turns out that Iran has been way more resilient than the U.S. administration had expected, way more willing, probably way more able, given their political system, the regime, to tolerate pain, whether it's military pain or economic pain, and they have time on their hands. This deal, the memorandum of understanding, that was, in a way, the Iranians taking advantage a little bit of the fact that they knew Donald Trump really wanted to deal very quickly. And so the Americans were willing to overlook details, have a vague deal in order to be able to say, we have a deal, and we see where that vagueness has gotten us when it comes especially to the Strait of Hormuz. So it's unclear where Donald Trump takes this from here. Either we're going to see a continuing of the escalation and return to sort of the level of bombing and of war that we saw at the end of February, or we're going to see this as yet another attempt to sort of pressure his way into more negotiations. One thing that is interesting is that amid all of these tit-for-tat strikes, you had actual talks that happened yesterday. Where those talks went, we don't know, but clearly right now there are two ways to go. We've been down those two roads, and the result has brought us back to where we are right now.